Greetings, Earthwalkers. I'm Shraya.
And I'm your DM, Ethan. Welcome to Venture Forth. Previously, the party had traveled through the city of Blackpool to discover the nature of these mysterious crystals that you guys possessed. After a mysterious encounter with a half-orc named Drek, you guys eventually came to a warehouse that was housing a myriad of possibly magical items being shipped across the nation. And after being let in, you guys discovered a disassembled warforge named Thaddeus. Upon opening the box that contained Thaddeus, he seemed to recognize March, but not as March, rather as her long-lost twin sister, Amity. Realizing this, March knew that she had to travel south to try and meet up with her twin and see if she was still alive and what the story was behind that. So after you guys parted ways, the rest of the party had continued on to the city of Solaris. You guys went to an inn that Thaddeus had directed you guys to. Thaddeus had talked to the innkeeper to try and get in contact with the person who was going to sort of wipe any magical markers that you guys have on you. You guys went upstairs. You guys each found your beds, and you guys fell asleep. So, Shraya, waking up the next morning, you open your eyes a little bit groggy, and you could see now at this point the sun is just rising up over the horizon. You can see it through the window, and you can see that the golden light is now beginning to fill the room, and about 3/4 of the room are now filled with this bright morning light. As you rustle awake, you hear a jingling beside you. This is the first thing that you notice, a little jingling beside you, and you look, and you see just in a nice, neat little pile beside you, some gold, silver, and copper.
I reach over, I look around to see if anyone's looking, and the gold catches my eye, and I like it, and I'm going to grab it.
So as you stuff the money into your bag, you're sort of looking around, and you take note that both Kellic and Olma are no longer in the room. It seems that you look over to where Kellic was sleeping, and you see that the bed that he was sleeping in is very nicely made. It's sort of put back into its place, as well as where Olma was sleeping. You didn't hear any ruckus during the night, so you can safely assume that they just took a day to themselves. They went out and they started doing their own thing. On the other hand, you do see in the room Flynn cuddled up right on the edge of the bed, all sort of nestled in, his backpack still there leaning up against the bedpost. And you also see the head of Thaddeus on the dresser, sort of in a dormant, almost sleeping state, not quite awake yet. So, as you're looking around, is there anything you want to do in the room?
I'm going to mutter under my breath,
Let the little ones sleep.
and I'm going to look out. Is there a window in this room?
There is a window.
You said there was. I want to look out the window.
Okay. You look out the window, and you can see at this point, people have already set up their shops for the day. People are wheeling out the produce carts from inside to sort of make these little outdoor displays right in front of the shops. Everyone is, conversing at this point, and it seems like these are some pretty early risers. You can see, for the most part, a mostly dwarven population, especially the shop owners, the people who seem to have permanent residence here, almost exclusively dwarves. And as you look out, you also see, walking down the street, a pair of dwarven guards looking to be the garrison of the city. They are walking step in step right next to each other in full plate armor. as they sort of walk down the street and get closer to where you are, you can hear the armor clanking back and forth, as these are like heavy sets of armor. But as they walk down the street, you take note that while people and shop owners are conversing with each other, conversing with the customers that are coming in, no attention is being paid to the guards, and the guards in turn are not paying any attention to the people, it seems. There doesn't really seem to be any fear necessarily. It just seems like a mutual leave each other alone type of deal.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. In the limited experience I have with large population urban centers, could I get a sense of, just by looking out there, whether this city is in a peaceful, not chaotic sentiment, or does it look like there's a layer of fear hovering in the streets?
For sure. I'm going to have you make an insight check.
Great. That is a 16.
A 16, nice. So you would have noticed, just looking out over the street right now, as well as when you entered the city the previous night, especially you got a firsthand look coming through the gate that to enter the city. It's a very orderly place. There was a very defined couple of lines to get into the city. There were a couple of checkpoints in order to get in, and there just seems to be a sense of lawfulness and order over the city. Not necessarily fear, but just sort of like an understanding of the law here.
Behaviors that like a river that flows neatly from one bend to the next.
And I keep muttering to myself as I rub my eyes and start, kind of lilting out the door, down the steps, scratch my head.
I must get to know this place more.
And I'm going to go down into the lower level.
Okay. Just before you step out of the room, there are two things. First thing is, you notice right above the dresser is a framed map of the city, sort of framed there and hung very nicely. You can see different sections of the city. You can see recommendations for shops. You can see recommendations for restaurants, sort of sightseeing places to go. So before you actually head out, is there anywhere that you want to look in particular to just sort of get a general direction?
Oh, sure. So as I'm thinking about the different areas that I want to check out and how I can figure out this, the sense of the city that I've just gotten, I'm going to look at the map and try to glean where, like, social gathering places might be.
For sure. So you see probably 3 places that would pique your interest. You see a little cluster of like taverns and restaurants that, people need to eat. There are probably people there. And you know that taverns are usually ripe with lively conversation. So you see that it's pretty close to where you are currently. And then you also see a temple district. And you can see there are a couple of points of interest on this map where there is the temple district. And it looks like these are very much based in the new gods. You don't see anything for the old gods. You just see temple symbology for the new gods. And so that's probably a place that would have a lot of people, especially early morning, probably the early morning worship services. And then you also see a sort of like a centralized park, just like a big open park area that would probably have some people in it.
So I take note of those 3 areas, and I point my finger and I try to route it from where I am right now to that big, larger park that you mentioned, and squint and then nod, scratch my head again, and then walk down the stairs.
Okay. And then just one more thing before you head down the stairs. The head of Thaddeus is currently sitting there on the dresser. Would you like to take it with you, or would you like to leave it in the room?
Ooh. I would like to leave it in the room.
Okay. All right. So you were leaving it in the room with Flynn. As you walk down the stairs and enter sort of the common area of the inn. At this point, you can see there are a couple people who have just sort of woken up and sort of are starting their day down there.
My stomach starts rumbling a little bit, and something's like I start craving something that I wouldn't normally, just because I'm having a few stomach jumping jacks. So I'm gonna go up to the bar and order something for a little bit of breakfast.
Okay. You walk up to it's this little it looks like a bar during the night, probably restaurant during the day. And you can see a young dwarven lady sitting there behind the counter, just sort of taking people's early morning orders. She says, hey, what can I get you?
I've been eating too many berries and fish lately. I need to change it up a little bit. You have anything organic? A fruit of some kind, perhaps?
Yeah, if you're not looking for anything cooked, we've got a little table right over there. It's got some breads and fruit over there. I think it's got like some apples and pears and bananas and stuff like that, if that's what you're feeling like.
Oh, that's great.
I'm going to wander over to the table. I'm actually going to pick up an apple and throw it up and catch it and say,
The pear would be too sweet for me, I'm afraid.
I'm going to walk back to the bar.
This'll do.
All right, and as you walk over, you take, there are 2 apples laying there. You take one of the apples, leaving one remaining. And with that apple in hand, you step out into the busy city streets. And as you step out, you look right and left, and you are immediately, once again, hit with that feeling of, being thrust into a city. So how is Shraya feeling as you're not only surrounded by a bustling city, but by one that is mostly occupied by dwarves?
It's a little intimidating at first. As soon as I step out, I sort of and walk a little bit into the street, I immediately have the urge to step back or like duck into another part of the street. I really don't like. My beak kind of ruffles a little bit. And I say under my breath,
the odor of dwarves.
And I'm going to try to keep some distance between me and the nearest humanoids. Mostly dwarves, right?
Mostly dwarves. You see, actually, right across the street, you see a blue tiefling sort of setting up shop for the morning. It looks like a lot of like dried and aged meats, and sort of like just a general butcher shop. You see mostly dwarves. You see a couple of furbolgs, and that's sort of a bulk of what you see.
Based on my comprehension of the map, and based on how crowded the street is, as I start to get even more uncomfortable with having to potentially walk through crowds and around big patches of people, I'm gonna try to look for a spot where I can kick off the ground without making too much of a ruckus and try to make my way to the park from the air.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna have you make a perception check for me.
Great. Oh, okay. 13.
13. You are looking around and you can just barely see just sort of a break in the crowd just ahead. So you sort of make your way up there through the crowd, and as you look to your left, all of a sudden a break in the shops on the street turns into a gallows. You see 3 hanging nooses there, just sort of smack dab in the middle of this street. You can see the people who are walking on the street are giving it a good amount of clearance. They're not walking directly in front of this thing. 2 2 of the nooses, the 2 on the outside, are empty. You see one occupied in the middle. You can see a humanoid figure. You can't tell if it's human or elf, but that sort of stature. You can't tell because there's a bag over their head. They wear these purple robes, these layered purple robes, and they have a sign that is hanging from their neck that says spy. And then do you read Dwarvish?
I do, actually, yes.
Okay. So it says in common, it says in big letters spy, and then in Dwarvish below it, it says criminals beware.
Wow, okay. Can I, as I lilt toward this gallows area, can I tell if this person with the bag over, I don't know if you mentioned this, can I tell if they're still alive or not?
Very much dead. It's at the point where like flies are starting to start flying around their body.
Wow, okay. Well, in that case, could I actually, before I kick off the ground from this opening, looking around those gallows, do I see any like remnants of what had happened there before? Any kind of like, just what's around there? Anything that might provide logistics for anyone who would want to operate those gallows?
Yeah, make an investigation check.
Great. Whoop. That is a 15.
15. So you look up and you can see on the cloak, this purple cloak that the person is wearing, you can see scorch marks on sort of going up the robe, sort of these arcane scorch marks. And you can see from their belt, there looks to be like things that have been ripped off of the belt. And you can gather that this is probably some sort of mage or something, and in their frantic final moments attempted to just start spouting off spells. But beyond that, you look to your right and your left, and you see one dwarven guard on either side of you, just sort of keeping watch over the gallows, not looking at you in particular, not looking at anyone in the crowd in particular, but just sort of standing there very vigilant.
I'm going to walk up to that guard, actually, now that my interest is even more piqued. I'm going to approach the guard slowly, and I'm going to walk up to him and say,
"Greetings, Stone Carver. What befell this being?"
As I point up to the man.
I know I can read, but it is intriguing. I wish to avoid a fate like theirs.
Yeah, you want to avoid a fate like his? Just don't break the law, buddy. Hey, we're watching you, all right? Doesn't look like you're from around here. So just keep your cool, and you're not going to end up like this guy, all right?
Understood. I have one question, then, as I do want to respect the laws of this city. If I were to... In my anatomy, it allows me, to operate in the plane of air. Is that permitted in this space?
You talking about flying?
Yes. Apologies. Sometimes I speak in larger-than-life, what are they called? You call them, metaphors, or perhaps I'm just relatively long-winded sometimes.
Yeah, buddy, I can tell. Flying permitted, teleportation permitted, any way you want to get around.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.
And you too.
Nod and find the space to kick off the ground.
Okay. And as the breeze once more finds its purchase below your wings, you get up to a decent altitude to where you can sort of fly above these buildings and sort of get a good view of the layout of the city. And as soon as you get up that high, you can see those same landmarks that you saw on the map, and you can really orient yourself. You can see in sort of one corner of the city these large walls that protrude from the ground, and these big stone buildings. And you think back to the map, and you remember seeing that that's where a large part of the army of Kaldur stations itself here in Solaris. And you can just tell by the size of the portion of this city that it is a strong military presence here. But as you are flying, you note the temple district off to your right, the restaurant and markets off to your left, and just ahead, the park with some beautifully sprouting trees with these thick canopies, and there seems to be full of life and definitely an oasis within the middle of this city. So as you fly over, are you going to land or stay in the air?
I'm going to land in the park. I'm going to specifically seek out like a grove of trees or a larger concentration of them.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And there is a section with a couple of really tall trees. And as you sort of land on the ground and take a couple steps towards those trees, the grass feels really nice beneath your claws. And as this is a park, a young boy and a young girl who are playing with a ball just sort of don't quite see that you're there. And the little boy who's running with the ball sort of brushes his shoulder against you, and he turns around and he says, "Oh, sorry, sir." And he continues running alongside this little girl with a ball. And you look around and you can see people enjoying the park.
That's quite all right, young one. Enjoy your day.
Yes. And walking toward one of the larger trees that I see, I'm going to take out my staff. First, I'm going to look around for, is there any signage at all around these trees? Is there any, being mindful of my last exchange with that guard?
No, you don't see any sort of signs or anything. Actually, looking around, there are just a couple of not like warning signs, which I think is what you were getting at, but like little labels telling you like what kind of tree this is and what part of the world it came from. And it looks like there are some trees. You can see at least 3 or 4 trees that are from different portions of the world.
Ooh, in that case, if this is like outdoor museum of different types of trees, I'm going to look for trees or plants that are native to my ancestral rise, even before I took up residence with the elves, and see if I can get a sense of home.
For sure. So not all of these trees are labeled, but you can tell that most of them are different. So I'm going to have you make a nature check for me.
Great. Nature. Oof, that says 7.
7. So you look around and you can see a couple that sort of remind you of the thick evergreen trees of the Brosby Wood, which you would know very well, being the forest that was sort of just down right next to the Venville Rise. So there are a couple, but they look familiar.
Never thought trees like this could grow in this part of the world.
As I wander over toward one of them, I take out my staff. I press the crystal at the top of my staff to my forehead and touch the ground-facing end of the staff to that tree. As I do, the wood in the staff starts to almost like grow and move as the roots at the top holding the crystal start to sway. And I'm going to druid craft the symbol of my native tribe onto this tree. Okay,
very cool. So you druid craft the symbol onto this tree, and you can, after you're done, you can feel the tree, or at least looking up at the leaves, there's almost like a slight breeze, almost as if the tree is sort of shuddering, or like sort of in recognition of that. And a couple leaves fall down from the tree.
As that happens, I'm going to just press my forehead to the side and bark of that tree too, and take a quick meditation.
Okay. As you are doing that, what sort of thoughts are you meditating on?
I'm meditating on my home tribe. I'm meditating on memories of when I was very, very young, and the roots of my knowledge and skill and facility in shaping nature's forces and bending them to my will, and having moments of nostalgic remembrance of both incredible pleasure in the discovery of this knowledge, and also the pain that the fruits of those knowledge caused me to receive, and also that set me on this path to where I am now.
Okay. And just as you come out of that meditation and sort of get reacquainted with your surroundings, you can hear just behind another tree, sort of off a couple feet away from you, you can hear two voices, and one of them says, "No, you go ask him. I'm not going to ask. No, you go. You go ask him." "Okay. Fine. I'll go ask him." And out from behind the tree, you see two halflings. They look like they are probably like in halfling years, like late teens, early 20s, young halflings. You see one male and one female. And the female comes up to you and she says, "Hi, well, I hate to be a bother, but I just saw you kind of doing something there, and I was wondering, your wings, are those like, I don't know. This might be very rude, but are those like more decorative or are those functional?"
They are very much functional. A small one. They, believe it or not, there are many, many more beings like me. They just perhaps are not from this place. I have covered a great bit of ground to make my way here.
You think you'd be able to possibly cover a little bit more ground and help us out with something?
Well, I don't see why not. I have had nothing but goodwill toward beings of your, well, let's say stature and nature.
Okay, cool. It's kind of just a weird request. We got, there's a, we got a ball stuck up in a tree over there. And she sort of points up and she goes, "You see that? See that ball right up there that's sort of in between the branches?"
"Oh, yes, I see."
Could you get that for us?
I don't see why not.
Okay, thank you. There's a raccoon that lives in there. And it sort of like has burrowed into the tree and it lives into the tree. So like, I think, could you just like be as quiet as, I don't want you to get hurt. You're already helping us out. I don't want you to get hurt. Could you like just do it as quietly as possible so like you don't get hurt by the raccoon?
I don't think I'll get hurt by the raccoon. I may even try to glean what that raccoon's life is like.
We would just prefer, like, maybe if you just let it be, and just kind of let it stay there. Would you be able to do that?
Well, sure.
I'd really appreciate that.
I don't know, all of the inhabitants of this patch of grass and trees, so yes, I will endeavor to be as quiet as possible.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna whoosh my way up off the ground and float my way delicately toward the part of the tree that the ball is in.
Okay, so I am going to have you make a roll here. You can either make a stealth check or a nature check, whichever one you want.
Okay, let's do stealth.
Stealth, okay. And since you are like, are you said you're moving gingerly, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can do that at advantage because you are moving at a slow pace.
Well, thank goodness, because the first roll was a 4. Oh, but the second one was a 2. Oh, yowza.
Okay. So, and then what's your, do you have a plus to stealth?
Yeah, but it would only bring me up to 6.
Okay. Just wondering. Okay, so you, as you're sort of flying up there, one of your wings that's sort of flapping up and down just catches a branch and completely shakes the entire branch, and a bunch of leaves fall off, and you make a total ruckus. As these leaves fall to the ground, you are able to reach up and just grab the ball, but as you grab the ball, no raccoon.
Huh.
You float back down to the ground with the ball in your hand.
I wasn't able to see the creature you mentioned, but here's the ball all the same.
And you can see the halflings are once again kind of whispering to each other, and the girl says, yeah, but there's not going to be any branches. Like, it'll be fine. It'll totally be fine. And the male goes, I mean, I guess, but like, do we have any other choice? No, I don't think so. And the girl comes up to you and reaches her hand out to shake your hand, and says, I'm sorry, we haven't introduced ourselves. My name is Belinda Fairfoot, and this is my brother Hollinard.
Hello, Belinda Fairfoot, you say, and how did you pronounce your name?
Hollinard.
Hollinard. Alright, it sounds very similar to, well, never mind. What types of do you play games with this ball?
We don't. That was kind of just a little test, just to sort of see like how quiet you can be. Would you be interested in earning a little bit of money?
Well, of course. I've only just begun to realize how satisfying it can be to engage in earthly trade.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, would you be willing to, come with us and we could talk about something real quick?
Sure, I don't see why not. But let me look at this thing first. I'm going to examine the ball more closely.
Okay. Make an investigation check.
That's great. 19.
19? It is just a ball.
It's just a ball. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of fabric on the outside, and it's just a ball. And Belinda looks at you and says, yeah, this is just sort of something that we can't really talk about out here, and you don't really look like you're from around here. So, I mean, I don't know if you've gotten a sense of the city yet, but I think you might sort of know what I'm talking about. We can't really discuss it out here.
Yes, from what I gather, there are quite a bit of rules and regulations here. So,
Yeah.
Sure, I will say, my intention is to respect the local populace as much as I can, but if it is for a little money, I don't see the harm. Bending the rules a little bit.
Amazing. Oh, and then she nudges her brother and I told you this guy was going to be great, right? Come on. And they walk with you over to the other side of the park. It's like a nice little 5-minute walk. You can hear, birds chirping. There's a little pond with some frogs croaking. But eventually you guys come across these 2 little benches that are in this kind of secluded grassy area. And they sit you down and they say, so, well, I just want to say, just thank you for, listening to this. And I would hope that you would have some discretion with what we're about to tell you. We saw what you did back there with that rune in the tree. And, that sort of magic isn't really from around here. So, we figure we can trust you. Our mother was sort of you could call her a preacher. And she had a preference for the old gods. And I don't know if you have gotten a chance to be around the city too much, but the old gods aren't really too hot around here anymore. Anyone who's caught, preaching the word of the old gods is asked to stop. And my mom was asked to stop a couple times, and she didn't. So she's kind of in jail now, and we were just hoping that you could help us out in liberating her, let's call it.
Is there freeing a prisoner from bondage? It's a good thing. It's a good thing I have a preference for the old gods too. But what you're talking about is much more than a minor transgression. I thought for a moment you might ask me to put another rune somewhere else, or do something with this ball.
And I look at it again.
But a prisoner break,
I know it's a huge ask, and you would get well paid at the end of it. But it's up to you. But if you say no, please don't tell anyone that we had this conversation.
I know what it's like to be separated from someone very near and dear to me. Tell you what, I would imagine since you've been parted from this loved one, might have had some ideas in how they might be freed, so let me know what you would propose, and I'll see if I can help you.
Well, that's the thing is, I think we've got sort of most of it worked out. So there's the entrance, and in order to get into the entrance, there's this wall that you got to get over. And, it takes us a little bit too long to climb, but someone with your specific capabilities might be able to just do a quick hop over that wall and open it from the other side.
Well, yes. And I would imagine there are cells, so I would have to, in addition to opening it from the other side, have a plan for opening the cell that I would need to open, and then somehow escorting this prisoner out.
Yeah, so we've sort of been watching the guard changes, so we figure we can slip in there easy enough. We're also pretty nimble, and we can sort of go undetected. But getting out is gonna be the tough part. We've been practicing lockpicking just for once we're in there, but if you've got anything in your little bag of tricks, we would be open to suggestions.
The only thing, I may not have means to pick locks or open doors by any crafty means. I might be able to use my knowledge of herbs to try to create something that might knock someone out, but it's been a long time since I practiced that kind of herbalism.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That was kind of our one thing, is if we do come across someone, we don't really know how to deal with that. So it's good to know that you've got something like that.
Well, my intention would never be to take life, but to temporarily dull it. That's quite another story.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. We're not interested in killing anyone or anyone dying. We really just want to get our mom back. That's pretty much bottom line.
All right, then. Let me see what I can do.
I'm going to open up my herbalism kit. I'm going to see if I can put some components together to see if I can make a dulling combination. Something that might temporarily, not even completely knock out, but perhaps sedate someone and dull the senses.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to have you make, let's see. Do you have any spells that might specifically aid in this? Or are you just looking to go with what components can I mix together?
Yeah, I think the only spell that I might cast would be one that would temporarily increase my intelligence to kind of help boost whatever roll that would be.
I'm just thinking more along the lines of like, do you have anything that would mess with someone's senses so that like, because you know that spell, that might help you in creating something that would sedate someone. But if not, totally cool.
I would say not quite yet.
Okay. All right. All right. So with that, I am going to either have you make an Arcana check or a Nature check to see what you can mix together in order to sedate someone.
Awesome. You said Arcana or
Nature.
Or Nature.
Because, most of these components are like very earthy. So, yeah.
That is a Nature. That's going to be a 12.
A 12. Okay. So you mix together a couple of these components, and you sort of know a recipe for something that would help you get into sort of like a trance-like state that you've used in the past to help you commune with the nature around you and just sort of put you into sort of a higher mental state. But then that also dulls your earthly senses. So you've got something here that, might sedate someone a little bit, but depending on their sort of willpower, they might be able to sort of shake off the effects. But you've got it, and it might work.
All right. I'm also going to, and this can be for down the line though, but I'm just saying it now in case things escalate and start moving more quickly, going to prepare Hold Person as a failsafe.
Okay, gotcha. So you've got that sort of right on your holster, and you've sort of got Hold Person replaying in your head, the incantation. Okay, perfect. So Belinda sits down next to you, and she looks back and forth, sees that no one's around, and she pulls a little piece of paper from her pocket. And she looks to you and she says, first part is sort of the guard changes. Because there are, it's a jail, so there's going to be guards. But surprisingly, during the day is when there's the fewest number of guards. I don't think anyone really suspects someone like us to be coming in during the day. So we're going to be going in, hopefully, today, if you're up for it. And so we're going to try and get in, sneak past some of the guards. There's a wall that we have to get up to with a sort of like a back entrance. Not too well looked after, but it is completely locked from the outside. So what we're going to need you to do is, as quickly and quietly as you can, just sort of hop over that wall and get to the door on the other side to open it from the inside. Once we're there, there's a little manhole cover off to the right that we should be able to slip into and duck through some of the sewage ways in order to get to the main portion of the jail. Does that sound okay to you?
Yes, just if you've isolated the part of wall that I must get beyond near that entrance, point me in that direction, and I will endeavor to fly over that portion of the wall at the right time when the guards change.
Fantastic. Okay. Do you have any... I know this is a lot. Do you have any questions before we start heading over there?
Once I'm on the other side, I've never really been around organized militias or fortifications of that nature. What would I look for in terms of what could open the door once I'm inside?
I don't know. That's sort of out of our range at the moment. We don't really know what kind of door it is. It might be a key. But yeah, I think if you could just figure out how to get it open, then we're golden from there.
All right. I will have to use my thinking on my wings, as it were.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes. Is it almost time for a guard shift?
Yeah, they have people pretty much there all the time. But like I said, during the daylight hours, there's a lot fewer of them. So we'll maybe hang out for a couple minutes and just see what the state is over there. So yeah, come on, let's go. And her and her brother begin sort of walking off in a northern direction. And after a couple minutes of walking through the city, you come across another portion of very secure, walled-off city. Very similar to what you saw when you were hovering above the city. But you see these big walls with these, what do you call them? Ballistas on every once in a while. And you can see a couple of guards walking over the top every once in a while. And after you wait a couple minutes, sitting there sort of observing the guards, Belinda turns to you and she says, "All right, I think now might be the best time. You good to go?"
All right. Up and over it is.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to have you make a stealth check.
Here we go, stealth check. Come on. Don't let me down. Well, that's 12.
That's a 12. Okay. Let me see what these guards are up to. You go unnoticed as you hover your way above the wall. You can see one guard walking the wall on your right, but they are walking in the opposite direction away from you. So you're able to hover and drop back down over the wall. Once you're on the other side, you see in stark contrast to the mostly wooden buildings that were on the other side of the wall, now it's mostly stone buildings. And you could see a lot of these are very fortified here. But you turn around and you can see the doorway right behind you, as well as the manhole cover just off to your left. So, looking at this door, how do you want to proceed?
Start muttering to myself very quietly.
If I were a dwarf, I'd put the opening component. If I were a dwarf, I'd never be a dwarf. Despicable creatures. If I were a dwarf...
And I'm looking around, trying to put together any kind of logical semblance of how a component could be used to open this door.
For sure. Make an investigation check for me.
13.
13. You can see on the door there is a very heavy inset lock, like a traditional key lock, as well as a lever right next to it.
Going to go up to stealthily I'm going to look around before I put my hand on the lever and make sure if anybody is coming around the corner or coming into line of sight.
You don't see anyone at the moment.
Okay. In that case, I am going to pull the lever.
Okay. You pull the lever and you hear from sort of within the wall that leads into the door, and then nothing happens.
No.
And so I'm now going to look around and I'm going to see... I'm going to wander down the corridor stealthily and see if I can find any of the guards that might be... Oh, wait, you said in addition to the lever, there was one other thing?
Yeah, there's a traditional lock that is inset in the door, and then a lever sort of on the wall next to the door.
Uh-huh. Okay. So in that case, I'm going to look around the door to see if anything might be hanging from an inlet, or my guess is that there's a guard who has this key, but I'm going to check around the edges of the door just in case it's right in front of my face.
Yeah, you're looking around, you're checking the stonework, you're looking around at everything. You don't see a key hanging there.
Gotcha. Okay. Then I'm going to walk down on the blind curved side of a corner. I'm going to reach the corner, and then I'm going to peek my head around and see if I can see anyone down the next corridor, the next way.
Yes. So you peek your head around, and you do see one guard just standing there, facing the opposite way from you.
Huh. I am now going to take out my herbal component, and I'm going to try to... I'm going to take out a few of my feathers. I'm going to combine the mixture I created with those feathers. And I'm going to attempt to first catch the guard's eye with the feather by reaching around and then quickly shoving that feather right under the guard's nose and mouth. See what happens.
Okay, so how are you shoving it? Just so I can get a clear picture. How are you putting the feather onto him? Are you like trying to get a tickle situation out of him? Are you like trying to tickle his nose a little bit?
Yes, I'm trying to tickle his nose so that he starts like inhaling deeply.
Gotcha.
That's the goal, is to get the inhalation very strong.
And that he does. As soon as the feather comes around, he you can't quite tell if it's the feather itself or like the surprise of, something's happening, but he does take a deep breath in.
And I have hold person prepared in case this does nothing.
Okay.
But what's going on with him? Does he feel like he still has all of his faculties?
Okay, so he is going to make a Constitution saving throw here. And I'm going to set the DC at 12. Because you did a decent job putting that together.
Really?
And that's going to be an 8. So as soon as it's like a quick 1-2, the feather comes around, he inhales, and you stick your hand out, and all of this stuff goes into his nose and mouth, and you can see immediately he sort of relaxes. And he doesn't quite drop down to the ground, but he's still holding himself there, but he is definitely in a daze for at least the time being.
All right, I'm gonna shake him down, see if he's got any keys.
Okay, make an investigation check. At advantage because he is, sedated.
Good, because that was a 2. Oh no, this is
wow.
a 5, so 7. Ah,
a 7.
My advantage checks are not doing great.
It did beat the DC. It was a very low DC to get that key.
Oh,
because it's hanging on his hip. It's like it's sort of up and around in the front, hanging from a belt loop. But there are a set of 2 keys there.
Cool. I'm gonna grab both of them.
Okay, nice. So you take both of them, and he's just sort of like waving back and forth, just sort of swaying there.
I look down and take in his eyes, and I'm gonna mutter under my breath,
For any other creature, it would pain me to do this. Not to a being like you.
and I'm going to swing my staff around and clock him in the forehead with the intention of knocking him out.
Okay. That's an automatic hit. So if you want to roll damage on that, you can. Whatever the damage on your staff is.
Great. Without any kind of making the staff magical, it's just a d6 minus 1, so that is 4 points of bludgeoning damage.
4 points of bludgeoning damage. Normally, this probably wouldn't knock him out, but in the state that he's in, you whack him across the forehead, and he drops to his knees and face plants into the dirt in front of him.
Great. I'm going to also try to move his body into a position that might make it seem like he just fell asleep and then leaned up against the wall and fell asleep. Okay.
You successfully do so. Although there is a little bit of a red line going down his forehead from where you cracked him over the head. But besides that, looks like he's taking a pleasant nap.
Awesome.
And you head back to the door.
I'm going to try both of the keys and then pull one by one, and then I'm going to pull the lever for each and see if it opens the door.
Okay. The first key doesn't turn in the doorway, but then the second key, it goes right in, it turns, and as it turns, you hear a and then you pull the lever, and you hear a and the door slightly swings open.
That's my preferred way to communicate with dwarves.
And then I'm going to look over past the opening, look around, see if there are any other guards who are approaching from the opposite side. I'm going to call out,
Belinda! Hollenard!
in a hushed tone, but...
And from just a couple feet away, right, like sort of leaning up against the wall, you hear Hollenard say to Belinda, "See, I told you he'd be able to do it. I told you. Okay, come on, let's go." And they both walk in with you. And Belinda, as she's walking right past you, she gives you like 2 thumbs up and big wide eyes. As you guys,
I notice as they've been whispering, like these kind of doubtful whispers, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You for sure heard them.
And I'm going to mutter under my breath.
I thought being encouraging was a standard trait of these small ones, but I suppose Flynn just has the gift of encouraging people and picking them up all his own.
Okay, we're going down. And as they're lifting up the manhole cover, all right, let's go.
Oh, all right.
Right. And the odor of the sewers starts to get to me, and then I think back to what I just did, and then I, with a little bit of hesitation and slight pinch of pain, I pluck out another feather, and then I put it up to my nose.
Okay. Dulling your smell for a little bit, you get down in the sewers. It is still a very pungent smell. But your feather is doing a little bit to help that out. And so you guys walk down this long sewer tunnel for about 100, maybe 150 feet. It's hard to gauge down here. You're used to looking at everything from above. So you guys are walking for a little bit, and then you come across a ladder to your right that heads up. As the 2 halflings start to climb the ladder, they reach up, and this isn't a manhole cover. It's more of like a traditional hatch that they open up. They grab the handle and open up the hatch as they both hop up. You can now at this point see torchlight begin to pour into the sewer.
And I sort of tap one of their shins as we're climbing the ladder.
How do you know it's this one?
Taking a guess. Could be this one. There's also 2 more down the way. Could be this one, could be those.
All right. Let's hope it's this one.
And I follow them up the ladder.
Okay. So as you get up to the top of the ladder, you are greeted by cages on either side of you, prison cells. You can see them on either side of you, and just in front of you is a long hallway stretching to your right and down to your left with cells on either side of them. And Belinda and Hollenard look to you as you get up and close this hatch, and they say, "All right, from here, your guess is as good as ours. What are you thinking?"
Well, is there any sort of word or anything that only you and this person knows that we could perhaps whisper or not yell, but at each one of these cells to see if they respond?
I mean, not really. I mean, as you know, when she was sort of doing her thing, she always said, "May her light shine upon you." That was kind of her preachy thing that she always said. That might work, but you know, if someone hears us, that could get us in a lot more trouble too.
Maybe they don't have to hear us.
And as I hear these words, I am going to druidcraft, if I can, of course.
Yeah.
A traveling ball of moonlight. So something faint. Something that I've seen in my mind's eye, my own knowledge of the moon and how I've channeled that moon's rays before to damage. But in this case, not damage, just shine upon any who look at it.
Okay. I mean, yeah, as Druidcraft can create sensory effects, sight is a sense. So I'm going to say that you create this tiny little dull ball of moonlight in your hand. You're not going to be able to extend it anywhere past your hand, so you're going to have to be holding it.
That's okay. That's quite all right. So, and you said there are cells and cages to our right and left, or there...
The hallway, yeah. So you pretty much came up through this tunnel, and if you take 1 or 2 steps forward, you would be directly in the middle of the hall that goes both right and left.
All right.
Well, we've no time to lose. We don't know when the next guard is going to make their rounds. So let's start looking.
And so, yeah, I'm going to start looking around the different cells, holding the little pale moonlight above my hand and having that lead my way. And listening for if there's any kind of reaction to it as I move quickly, but stealthily.
Hey, real quick, do you want to go that way and we can go this way? Are we splitting up? Is that what we're doing?
I believe so.
Go this way. You could go that way.
Sure. Yes, that would save time. And
okay.
And you'll be able to recognize this person sooner than I would.
Yeah. Okay. So they dash off down to the left as you head off to the right. And I am going to have you make a stealth check.
All right. Let's try that one. Ooh, 16.
16, nice. So as you are walking along this cold stone floor, looking at each cell on your right and your left, only really lit by the very faint torchlight as well as the light that you're holding in your hand, you hear a couple of like moans and like grumbles from within the cells. Off from your right, you hear what are you doing? What are you doing here, man?
I look in, sort of direct my hand toward where the sound is coming from to see if I can see where it's coming from.
Okay. Yeah, you look into the cell and you see a dwarven man sort of crouched there in the middle of the cell, and he looks at you and, oh, shit, sorry. Thought you were someone else. What are you doing?
I thought you might have been someone else too. I'm here seeking out someone. What are you doing here?
Well, I got in trouble. Stealing. Apparently, feeding my family is against the law in this town. So, now I'm here.
Well, I'd like to get out of here.
Buddy, nothing would make me happier.
Well,
I sort of look to the keys.
Nature's bounty should be for everyone, not just those who can take enough time to find all of the food they can eat and store it away. So, here.
And I try the other key in the lock of that cell and open it.
It opens right up.
I'm looking for a halfling. On the older side. Female, I believe. Would you mind helping me search?
I think I saw a halfling come in here. There are a couple in here, but I think I saw one come by. I could have sworn you were here for the other guy, but the halfling is over here on the left.
Wait, why would you have sworn I was here for the other guy?
There've been a couple of breakout attempts for this other guy. I don't know. Some human down the hall.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea why? Do you get to know the people who are locked up with you?
Well, the word coming down the cells is some like uber powerful mage. They got him in like these crazy chains and like bindings and stuff. Never seen anything like it.
Wow. I just saw another mage who was recently put to death down on the street. Wonder if it was one of their colleagues.
Yeah?
But we're losing focus, though. Direct me to this halfling.
Okay, come on. And as you guys begin moving again, I'm going to have you make another stealth check as you hear down the hall coming in your direction a dwarven guard in this heavy plate armor that you can hear sort of crunching down the hall.
Oh boy. All right. Don't let me down, dice. Well, that's stealth 14.
Okay. So you are hearing this dwarf come down the hallway, and right as he's sort of about to turn the corner and see you, both of you dodge into a cell to your left and sort of quickly close and very softly shut the door as the dwarf comes, doesn't look into each of the cells, and passes you.
Oof.
And you guys open up the cell door once again and can head back out into the hallway.
Is this very powerful mage near the target that I'm seeking?
I've been stuck in that cell down there. I don't know. I just know that there's a halfling down this way because they brought him down, and they brought her down, and they passed my cell, and then they also passed my cell with the mage. So I know that they're down here. I don't know specifically where they're at.
All right. I would like to get a good look at this mage, too, before we leave. Let's find the halfling.
Okay. And after sort of checking the cells back and forth, you reach your hand up to one of the cells, and you hear a very faint voice sort of emanating from the cell. And you hear it say, our light shines upon you.
And I bring my hand out and toward the direction of that voice. Her light may have found you, I whisper.
And I see it finds you as well. Who are you?
I've been enlisted by Belinda and Hollinard. We're here. We're here to get you out of here.
Well, I couldn't stop them from getting in trouble as kids, so I guess, what's the change now? Sure. Do you have anything to get this gate open?
I might. If, in fact, this is a universal key, which I hope it is.
And I use the same key that I opened the other cell with on this cell.
Okay. And once again, it opens up.
Fantastic. All right. We need to find them, and then we need to get out of here, but first...
And then I'm just going to scan the cells just around hers, not actively, seek out or go any great distance, but try to look around to see if I can get the description of the powerful mage that was described.
Yeah, so looking down this hallway, it's pretty dim in here, but you can see 2 cells down from her. Since this is all just vertical iron bars, you can sort of see into the cages down, and you see 2 cells beyond these chains that come from 5 different points on the ceiling down to 1 point on someone's back. And you can see 5 chains from the ground coming up and also meeting, sort of stretching their body in their arms out on either side and keeping them down on their knees. These chains that are coming from the ceiling and the ground and the walls are just keeping this person completely locked in one position. You can see that the woman who you just freed, as well as the dwarf who you just freed, they were pretty much free to roam around the cell, whereas this person is completely locked in place just with these chains and sort of handcuffs and all of these binding mechanisms.
You, restrained one, are you awake?
Yeah, for the time being.
Why are you here? Why are they binding you as such?
Well, I just think they're a little afraid of me, but that's all going to change when I get out of here. And he sort of tries to move back and forth, but he can't really move. And as he struggles to move back and forth, you can see these deep purple runes all over the chains now begin to glow and pulse. And he's sort of then locked back into place.
Magical in nature.
What's your name?
My name is Shraya. I'm a being of the plane of air, and I saw someone similar to who practices your magics, and if your fate be similar to that of theirs, you may not have much time left. But if your cause be noble, and I've already taken the step to break this many laws to get here. What would you say if I could give you your freedom sooner? What is your purpose in this place? Why were you restrained in such a way?
Buddy, I was looking for answers that they weren't willing to give me. But I would be the most impressed person in Elbor if you were able to get me out of these. I can't get me out of these. And trust me, that's saying something. And as he looks up to you, he sort of scans you up and down, and you can see this long beard at this point. Looks like unshaven for a long time. Sort of salt and pepper. You can see the long hair on top begin to sort of fold back and drape onto his shoulders. You can see he is sort of wearing a similar purple robe, similar to what you had seen outside. And you can see he's not wearing any shoes as he's chained up here. And he looks you up and down and he says, "All far south, don't you think?"
For most of my kind, they would never think of stepping foot in a place like this.
Yeah, I've seen a couple come this far south, but man, brave one, aren't you?
The time I felt like I didn't have much of a choice. But if we must be on the move, I'm going to see if there's one thing I can do, and if I am able to free you, and no harm will come to me from you, will you tell me more about the questions that you were seeking answers to?
Yeah, man, if you get me out of here, I'll tell you anything you want to know.
So even before he finishes this sentence, I think back to, again, every flame I've ever witnessed, felt, and sensed in any capacity, as I press my hands to the staff, and I'm going to cast heat metal on the chains that are surrounding him. And as an addendum, again, if this works, or even if this spell has any kind of effect, because based on how those chains are glowing, I would imagine they may or may not, I am then going to druid craft very hard vines to sort of tear apart the chains when they heat up to that point. And also, heat metal does do 2d8. Any creature attached does have to take 2d8 of fire damage. So I hope that this mage isn't little spring chicken.
Okay. So as these vines sort of wrap around and heat metal is cast, you can see there's like steam coming up. So it's getting hot, but absolutely nothing is happening to the chains. And as this mage is looking up at you, he goes, "You're going to have to do better than that. Trust me, I've tried much better than that, and nothing's happened."
Well, if there's anything you can do to those chains while they're this hot, in conjunction, or perhaps you could tell me what your best...
Hey, Shraya?
Yeah, yes.
Great to meet you. Xavier Willow Arch. Good to meet you, Shraya. Get these people out of here, all right?
All right. Xavier, I hope you don't meet the same fate as the man I saw earlier today.
And at this point, from down the hall, you see, or you don't see, you hear, again, the sort of clanking of metal as a couple of dwarven guards are coming down the hallway. And you can hear them say, just before they see you, "All right, prisoner transfer. Everyone back against the walls. You got, all right, let's see where we, shit. Xavier Willow Arch. All right, come on, we're moving you. And at this point, they're just about to round the corner as you and the rest of the people you're currently with are, I assume, dashing in the other direction.
Yes. As at the moment we hear them.
Okay.
Do I know anything about the kids?
As you are dashing in the other direction, you can see the kids sort of coming back in the opposite direction, sort of doubling back and checking each cell once again. But as soon as they see you guys all together, they run up, give their mom a quick hug, and then sort of pull all of you guys along to get back to the sewer.
And as we round the corner, I say, wait. And I want to wait until the moment that they take him out of the cell, and then I really mess things up here. But I want to extend my staff and cast fog cloud all the way down the hall. Where
so I'll
transferring.
sort of describe what goes on first.
Okay.
So they unlock the initial cell door that they can sort of get into. But then once they get into the room with the chains, they start taking down the chains, but he still stays locked in that exact same position. Now the runes on the sort of collar that's around his neck, the braces that are around his arms, and the braces that are around his legs, the purple glows even more and more and more as they're continued to stay locked in place even as the chains are being taken down. They take all the chains down that were locking him in place there, and as the last chain is released, he sort of still locked in the exact same position, just sort of floats up about 6 inches off the ground. And then one of the dwarven guards comes around him and pushes on his back, and he sort of floats in air as he's being pushed forward. So as you're seeing that, as he's being exited from the cell, would you still like to cast Fog Cloud?
No way. I don't know if that's going to help at all.
Okay. All right. So they push him out and sort of push him, still floating, down the hall. You guys make your way back to the opening into the sewers. Is there anything you want to do before you hop back down there? Everyone else is hopping back down into the sewers.
I want to extinguish the pale moonlight that I've been carrying.
Okay, you extinguish that. Awesome. So you guys all hop down into this narrow tunnel, and you guys start heading back towards the entrance. At the front is the dwarven man who you had that you had helped escape, and he's sort of running at a fast pace. He wants to get out of here. When all of a sudden, about halfway down the hallway, he stops, and he turns around, and he goes, I really can't have anyone knowing that I'm out of here. This is really not going to be good for my family. I'm sorry. As he lunges at you guys, the two kids and the mom sort of take a step back in the opposite direction and start running away from him. What would you like to do as he's lunging towards you guys?
Hold person.
Okay. So you cast Hold Person. Is that a save on his end?
Yes.
Okay, what's that DC?
That is a 14.
14. That is a natural 1. So he lunges at you, he cocks his fist back, and right as he's about to sort of turn his shoulder and throw his fist at you, he completely locks into place.
Wow. All right.
You've sealed your own fate, I'm afraid.
And we're going to keep escaping.
Okay, how long does Hold Person last?
The duration is up to a minute.
Up to a minute, okay. So you got him locked into place. It takes you a lot less than a minute to get out of this tunnel. But as you do, you find that ladder that you came down in, you pop up to the surface, and you use the same door that you had just opened, and you guys are now running along the city streets. They have kind of fallen back behind you. They're not quite as fast as you are. They're not quite keeping up, but they do seem to be following you. So where would you like to go?
I would like to go to an area that is tucked away from the hustle and bustle of the streets, but I would like to talk to them a little bit more. So I would like to maybe usher them into like an alley or something.
Okay, so you quickly find an alley between two buildings, and everyone stops and takes a deep breath. And at this moment, they actually find a moment to embrace. And the mother hugs Belinda and Hollinard, and sort of just takes them in her embrace.
It's these types of moments I live for seeing.
Thank you so much. And at this point, the mother is now speaking up, and she reaches her hand out to give you just a handshake. And would you like to accept?
Absolutely.
Okay. As soon as you meet her hand, she like pulls you down to her level and throws her other arm around you and gives you this big hug.
I'm happy to. With this kind of love that's shared between the three of you. I do have one question. Did you ever speak to that fellow that was near you? I think his name was Xavier Willow something.
Yeah, like super powerful guy, but ever since they brought him in, he's been completely locked up. He's been trying to cast different spells. He's been murmuring things under his breath. He's been trying to get out, but you saw the chains.
Yes, if he couldn't get out of them, I know I probably couldn't either. But he is a very intriguing fellow. So what's next for the three of you?
Well, probably get out of the city. I mean, I don't think we'll be able to stay here for very long. Honestly, we shouldn't have stayed here for as long as we did in the first place. I think we might actually head down to Genboldir and, try and find some like-minded people who are still embracing the old gods. I think that's probably our next step.
Well, I will say this, if you're on your way out, I would try to avoid the path that goes through Cold Crest. That seems to have become a hot zone of late.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll be sure to travel a bit south and see if we can find a good border crossing there.
As for the reward, we didn't even discuss what that would actually be or any kind of amount, but is that still on the table?
Oh, I'm assuming so. And she looks back to her kids, and Belinda walks back up to you, and she says, yeah, if you want to come back to the house, we got to grab it. I mean, we're going to grab the rest of our stuff anyways as we're leaving, but yeah, we've got like probably somewhere around 100 gold. Would that be okay?
That'd be fantastic. I'll help you pack.
Okay, thank you. And so they take you out of this alleyway. You go through some more sections of the city. You actually walk through the temple district and walk past some of the temples. You could see these 5 different temples to different new gods and different levels of activity going on in each of them. And as you pass through there, you pass through more of a residential area, and they take you to a little house sort of on a nice little residential street, bring you inside. They start packing up their things. Belinda tells you to wait a moment. As she runs upstairs, you can hear her upstairs sifting through a bunch of stuff, and she finally comes down with a sack of gold. And she said, we saving up for a while. We've got about 100 in here. I think it was 108 gold. Is that sufficient for you?
Absolutely.
Okay, here you go.
You know what? I will graciously accept 75. Keep the rest for your travels.
Trust me, that's going to go a long way. Thank you. And she takes out and she gives you 75 gold pieces.
Cool. And how much had I grabbed from the table earlier in the inn?
Let me
like
check.
Around 30 or something, right?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was whatever your party had in total divided by 5. So I don't have that number with me right now, but that's what it was.
Awesome. Okay. From our previous combative encounter.
Yes.
Great. Is there anything else I can help with before I take my leave of you all? Should I traverse with you to the edge of the city? Perhaps if someone tries to impede your way, I could cause some sort of a distraction for you.
Yeah. And we've also, I think we've got an extra bag. Would you mind carrying?
Absolutely.
I can give you another 5 gold to do this. We just need an extra
not
hand.
necessary. I'm happy to do this.
Oh, thank you. And as they're carrying their bags, and you carry one of their bags, you make your way through the city and to the edge of the city, and you see in front of you another massive gate, fully open, but there are guards there letting people in and out in a very orderly fashion. And they sort of look to you and they go, this part's going to be tricky. Got any suggestions?
I think I might be able to handle this. I love causing chaos amongst this race of beings.
And I quickly, I am going to pick off the ground, start flying in their direction, and what am I going to do? I am going to... So, in this part of the gateway, how large is the gateway? Is it large enough to where if I were to direct a spell at, like, a side of it or close, like, on either side of the gate, that it would, like, the source of it, if someone were to go check it out, would leave the area open? Like, how large is this gate?
They are, like, currently they're letting in 3 lines of people and they're letting out 2 lines of people. So I'd say it's about 25 to 30 feet wide.
Oh, okay. So I am going to fly over to one side of it, and I am going to... Are there any other architectural elements on either side of the gate?
Yeah. So it looks to be like pretty much like a huge portcullis type gate, but there is some like stone carvings on either side. There is a pillar on either side. That's pretty much it.
So I'm going to go around to the side of the pillar to where I can't be seen by anyone in the gate.
Okay.
And I am going to direct a thunder wave toward that pillar.
Okay. All right. Just roll your damage.
All right. So that's a 15-foot cube with the pillar in the center of it. As I tap the crystal to my head and channel the lightning and thunder and stormy maelstrom that sometimes visited my ancestral mountains, I direct that energy from that memory, pull it down from the environment around me, and channel it through the crystal as a wave of thunderous force, shock waves out from the center of that pillar. 15-foot cube. Everyone around that area must take a Constitution saving throw. Failed save is 2d8 damage.
Okay. So if it's at the pillar, I'm going to have you just roll your 2d8.
Okay, great. 4 and 3. 7.
7. Okay, so the pillar that you cast it at begins to crack and crumble and shake, and as this massive boom roars forth from you, the pillar doesn't quite fall over, as it's this massive stone pillar, but it definitely just shakes everything around you, and you can see all of the dwarven guards that were right there look over in that direction. You hear, "What was that?" Go take a look. Go take a look. As a couple of the guards sort of walk up towards the pillar. At this point, you look over and you can see the halfling family as the mom looks at the son, looks at the daughter, and goes, "Okay, run! Go! As they sprint with their bags out the gate, and you can see just a little bit too late, the guards turn around to see them sprinting out, and you can hear, "No, wait! No, come back! Oh, crap." As the halflings then run off into the distance, over a hill off in the distance, and they are gone out of sight.
Godspeed, little ones.
Okay. As you watch them flee off into the distance, you look out over the city, and you can sort of pinpoint where you're at. You kind of remember back to the map, and you remember where the inn was, and you slowly fly back, sort of taking in the surroundings around you, and you can see the park up ahead of you. You can see the militarized zone of the city off to your right, and you come to a slow perch right at the front of the inn. And with that, you walk up the stairs as the day is coming to a close. You walk down the hallway. You can see the windows on your left. The sun from the sunlight from the setting sun is just beginning to pour in. And you open the door and you see Kalek standing there. And with that is where we're going to end today's session.
Oh, man.
We're going to call it right there.
I want to tell him about everything, though.
Trust me, you'll get it. You'll get the chance.
All right.
But with a bit of a prison break from Shraya, that is where we're going to call it. Thank you all so much for listening, and we can't wait to see y'all again next week. Bye, nerds.
Bye, nerds.
Hey, everyone, this is
Cameron. I play Shraya. Hope you all enjoyed following Shraya on his grand day out, as it were. I just wanted to thank you all for listening again. And, be sure to check us out on our social media channels. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We also got Reddit and YouTube and TikTok. If you like the show, be sure to show us some love. Liking, subscribing, commenting. It helps more people like yourselves maybe find us for the first time. Also, you can support us on Patreon. If you would, that'd be awesome. It's what helps make the podcast possible. So I just want to thank you all for listening again. And
see you the next time that the light touches the earth or the moon touches the land.
Bye, nerds.